Okay. Hello to everybody watching the stream and hello to everybody watching the video. Today I am going to be attempting to recreate Apollo 13. Now of course here is my Saturn V rocket, and I am going to try keep this as accurate as possible, but just remember this is Kerbal Space Program, so I can't guarantee 100% accuracy. But without further ado, let's just get straight into it, shall we? There we go, we have a lift off. Nice and clear of those towers there. And now we are going to start making our tilt towards the east. As we are approximately 18 seconds in. And yeah, we'll get this thing up in orbit. Of course, this isn't the first time you've seen this build on my channel. I, of course, did not build it myself. Well, I did build it myself, but I did use the help of a tutorial on YouTube by a YouTuber who specializes in Kerbal Space Program. I can't think of his channel name specifically right now, but I'll pop him up on the screen for those watching the video. I'm sure if you're a Kerbal Space Program fan, you'll know who this is. But anyways, we are coming up to our first separation. We've got Jeb and Bob down there. Jeb is our pilot today, and Bob is our scientist. Ready for that detachment. Just about. Oh, there we go. We have officially attached to stage 2. That stage is now making its way back down to Earth. At this point we can get rid of the launch escape system because it is no use to us anymore. And continue going on up. To our orbit now. We are unfortunately tilting a little bit too fast, but that's okay because this is Apollo 13. Not everything went right with it. That is my excuse. Altitude rising a bit, we'll try and radial out just a little bit because our altitude is cutting out just in the atmosphere. Okay, we've got plenty of fuel to make this. It's only a slight minor adjustment that we need. Unfortunately, the rocket is also becoming increasingly unstable to control as we reach higher speeds and higher altitudes and keep accelerating whilst in our atmosphere. And as you can see now, we are encountering slight issues. In which we will hopefully balance out now. Alright. Yeah, we're good, we're good. Right, you know what, we're just gonna start that again. Because that just went absolutely horribly. There we have it, liftoff on Apollo 13. Little did they know what was in stock for them at this moment in time. We are now 18 seconds in, so we will begin our pitch to east, which will ultimately then throw us into orbit. Unfortunately, with Saturn V, it is quite a long ride, because whilst it's a powerful rocket, it's just not got the speed behind it that the SLS has. Actually corrected our orbit just as we needed it to. And it is time to detach from the bomb stage. There we go. Now we are making our way up, continuing to get to orbit. Officially hitting that stage where we can look into getting our orbit properly. So we probably want to do it right actually. Obviously because of the speeds that we're going at, I'm just going to go for the horizontal bit. Just so we can clear out 75 20 seconds. I'm pretty sure that's what that means, I'm not sure. Hit orbit. I do believe that sits us in a good orbit here. No, it doesn't. Alright. There we go. Now we're officially Now we're officially in a good enough orbit. A good enough orbit that we can now detach the second stage. So without further ado, oh, there goes the launch escape, my bad. There we go. And now it is time for us to make a maneuver towards the moon. Right. I need to not focus on the ISS. Restart. Have I just destaged again? Yeah. I destaged again. We're gonna have to go from the start again. This is painful. Alright. Third time's the charm. We'll try not to destage ourselves. Let's see, everything is checked and ready to go. To the east, although by the looks of it we have dragged too the west, just a little bit, but it's okay. What can I say? It must just be a windy day on Kirby. Alright. We're coming close to detaching our first boosters already. Way too much of an incline for this height, but it's okay. We've got this. And here comes the first stage. Unfortunately, it is a very long process launching Saturn 5, but it's okay. And it's only okay because Saturn 5 is just such a beautiful rocket. Just need to speed up to 2,300 meters a second so we can get out of orbit and we will be good. This time we're at 7,000 meters already, so we're already out of Earth's orbit atmosphere. Okay, we are officially orbiting. Whoa. Okay, we are officially orbiting. Without further ado, it's time to and without further ado, I'm just gonna re-say all of that because I'm recording. Okay, we have officially completed our orbit, and now without further ado, it's time to detach from stage 2. There it goes. It's going to make its way back down to Earth slowly but surely. And those Faerins eventually will end up back on Earth as well, I imagine. Probably not because it's Kerbal Space Program. Just making some minor adjustments here. Sorry, bear with me. Cool. Now we just need to maneuver over and speed up time just a little bit because it moves awfully slow. There we go. Now we need to preferably make our maneuver. Right, what we should really do is do our elongated orbit. First. So yeah, we'll do our elongated orbit around about here. And then on this one we will then add a maneuver. We need to do it here, maybe. Alright, so I have made a few little adjustments. I'm sorry, we're talking for a minute. Yeah, it's a great game, Kerbal Space Program. Right, anyways. Right, I've made a few little adjustments, and now we're gonna make our way to the moon. So, without further ado, let's skip to our first burn, which is gonna send us in trajectory to the moon, and then our second burn, which will then put us into orbit with the moon. And our burn is coming up in just 60 seconds now. I have slowed down time. Sped it back up though. 15 seconds. And it is burn time. There we go. Now in a whole minute and 50 seconds we will be there. And of course I am creating Apollo 13, and in case you didn't know, no one actually died on that. It was just a tragedy that went on where one of the when one of the fuel cells blew up, and something to do with oxygen, I think. Yeah, they were on I can't talk. Yeah, they were on limited oxygen, and they had to basically get in their moon lander and use their moon lander to get back to Earth. Anyways, we are still burning. We still, in fact, have another 50 seconds of burn before we get put into our elongated orbit, and then we can get flown out to the moon. I just blacked out for a second. I wasn't even paying attention to the game. My bad. Alright, now we've done that burn. We'll have to recalculate our next burn. Yeah. We'll bring our merry way back round. And it looks like we get what we want here anyway. Alright, we will skip all the way around to that burn and get that burn done. Right, if the lowest we get is 61, that's not gonna do us too bad. I hope. I was gonna say, as long as we start ascending again, I'm not gonna be too worried about it. There we go. And we're just gonna pretend that didn't happen, okay? So everybody be quiet and act like it didn't happen. Right, we're nearly at our burn time now. Right, we are now 60 seconds away from our burn. Make that 10. There we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it is burn time all the way to the moon. Alright, we're gonna have to reburn again. Probably at the shortest point of our orbit. Yes, open return, please. Alright. We got one more burn in 6 minutes. Good enough. Alright, we are officially on our way to the moon now in the same kind of pattern that Apollo would have taken. And we are going to leave Earth in just a moment. But real quick, I wanted to say before we continue with this mission that I do actually have another channel which is centered around space and more specifically like telescopes and astrophotography and just seeing all the cool stuff that you can actually see even from your back garden up in space. The channel's name is Cosmic J and I'm trying to build it up on this, so if you guys want to show some support to me then go ahead and subscribe to me over there. Anyways, back onto the mission. Right. We are just going to speed up time because we've got a little while before we get to the moon. So we'll get to watch Earth shrink as Apollo 13 leaves on its lunar transition, sorry. I really need to get with all the phrasing and terminology, don't I? As you can see, Earth is getting smaller and smaller and smaller as we get on the dark side of it as we travel. I'm pretty sure this is actually a very similar transit pattern to what Apollo 13 actually took, sorry. Like, in terms of the way the Earth is shaded like that. I'm pretty sure it's very similar, in fact. Anyway, we're still a little bit away from the moon, as you can see. It's still tiny. In fact, we can hide the moon behind our ship. Just like so. We still see a little bit. There you go. Now it's hidden behind our ship. But of course, we are sped up, moving faster, and I will speed us up some more in just a little bit. Because as you can see, Earth is now leaving us. Anyway, here we go. We'll go to 1000-time warp. That is Earth leaving, and we should be, yeah, pretty close to the moon. So now that we're here, I'm going to slow on down time just a little bit. And we are now going to, no, we don't want to focus on the moon. Add a maneuver here, which is ultimately going to set us into lunar orbit. Right, that is good. That is a good maneuver. We will get ourselves positioned for it. And move 50 minutes into the future. Right, I'm actually going to start the burn maybe 30 seconds early. We'll do 40. Just because I want to get a nice clean orbit. And I have found doing it directly on the maneuver nodes doesn't give me the cleanest orbit sometimes, especially with stuff like this. So I reckon doing it slightly earlier will fix my problem. Okay, and that is Apollo 13 officially in orbit with the moon. We will now get ourselves back into some light. We'll ignore that. In fact, no, we won't. That's Apollo 11. That's Artemis. That's the Artemis 3 launch I done right there. Alright, here we have a great view for decoupling and docking. So without further ado, we will deploy our fairing. And we will, first of all, we will decouple from the launcher, lander, sorry. Then we will activate our docking and of course activate the RCS thrusters. Send ourselves forwards. Set this as our target. And just like that, we're flipped around. Ready to rendezvous. Of course that was a bit of a violent flip, so we've kind of gone a bit off the rails with it. And just like that, Saturn V oh, I've done it again. Every single time I do this mission with Saturn V, I forget this one key thing. That's to decouple that. There we go. just like that. Whoa. Too much angle on it. That's okay. Just like that. LM is mounted to Saturn V. Yo, KSP streamer, how am I doing? I'm doing good, thank you. I am currently recreating Apollo 13 for a video, and I'm also streaming it because it's cool. Okay, now we are mounted to this. We can turn this off and turn that off for a second. And ultimately, decouple this and send it on its merry way. It does actually have boosters, but because I just decoupled it like that, it's okay. It's okay. Alright, now, Apollo 13. The crew would now be getting ready and moving into the lander, getting ready to land. But unfortunately, a big explosion happened around about now, and big kaboomy kablow, and all of a sudden, we now no longer can use this part of the module. So the Apollo 13 challenge is to get ourselves all the way back to Earth, only using the lander. So right now, all electricity will be cut off. Can I cut off the electrics in any way? Alright, here's the situation, alright? Everything just doesn't work inside of here. We're gonna pretend none of this works, okay? And the only thing that works now is our lander. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna transfer our crew. Transfer good old Jebediah, our pilot, over to the lander. And of course the whole crew would be in the lander, usually for Apollo 13. But, of course, this is a game, there's only so much I can do, and there's only actually 2 seats in this lander, so. But yeah, oxygen is vital right now. They have no oxygen. The fuel cell has just exploded. And yeah, it is now time for them to make their way home and abort the landing. So, what we're gonna do is absolutely hope for the best. Remove this maneuver. And we are gonna set, not that, but can we set Earth, Kremlin, as our... I don't want the ISS. Alright, we'll set the launch site. Okay, we'll set the ISS. It's on direction. In fact, I regret that already. We don't need no targets. We got this. So first up, we are going to... I don't want to go to my arms tree. First up, we're going to make a slight adjustment to our orbit here. Yeah, that'll be fine. That's in another... We should control from here for a start. Yeah. As this engine is now the only active engine. And we can't make that maneuver because that costs too much fuel. So we need to figure out what maneuver we can make. To send us back to Earth. Now it's gonna have to be some very minor small maneuvers. And yeah. We got this though. So we will now warp time to our maneuver. Here we go, we are 12 seconds away. This is gonna cost us quite a bit of fuel. But it's okay. Because that was the first move we needed to make. Now we're gonna add another maneuver. Which will then set us in an even bigger orbit in another 50 minutes. So we've got quite a bit of time to elapse. Right. Oh no, we're not on our maneuver. It's okay, it doesn't have to be the most precise maneuver ever. I'd say that wasn't enough. We are also allowed to use our RCS boosters, which whilst doesn't gain us much speed, it certainly does help us out, and it saves us the crucial Delta V that we need, sorry. Because if we ain't got enough of that, then we ain't making it off the moon. Alright. After this burn, I'm hoping we'll be able to send ourselves back home. Oh no. What happened? What happened? It's not gonna tell me what happened. Okay, it's fine. It was probably nothing. First things first, we're turning off our RCS because we need to save all of that now. Right, I think we're doing this wrong. Yeah, we are. We need to use the moon. Get rid of that real quick. There will be a burn here that will send us back to Earth. Right, so if we come here, we could get higher than that, but lower than that. Lower than that. Yeah, there's good. Now I'm gonna be extremely cheeky right now. And that's not a crew hatch. And I'm going to extract the fuel out of my rocket ship and put it back into the lander itself. Whereabouts is my fuel tank? Here it is. Now I don't know if they actually done this on the Apollo 11, but I'm going to do this because it helps me out. Whilst the engine might not work back there, the fuel does. So, without further ado, let's turn our SAS back on, go back to our maneuver, warp time forwards, you got to use KSP in your aerospace class, nice. Alright, we missed our burn node by a little bit. It's okay, because we're going to have to make so many micro adjustments whilst doing this. But I don't even know. What? What's... I'm going to guess it, so I'm just going to say what. Alright, you know what? chicken butt epic. You know what, that is fine, because we can quickly do this again. Keep taking fuel from the Apollo. We can keep taking fuel from the actual ship itself and top our lander back up. Well, once again, I'm not sure if they actually done this on Apollo 13, but if they didn't, I don't know why. Well, I do know why actually, because that would have been extremely difficult to do in space, but I was about to say, did this even fill? I can't tell. We should probably fill that one too, huh? We'll pin that quick and go back inside of our rocket just like this, just to do this. And we'll top our engine back up there. Alright, now we might actually have enough. No, not quite actually. How can I top my lander up even more? We'll unpin this one. Top this up, I guess. Right, yeah, we'll have to do them one at a time. That's painful. I'm missing a tank. Don't know why. Right, I just can't open other tanks whilst I'm doing this. Alright, we are coming up on our final burn now, which is going to send us back to Earth. Of course, the real Apollo mission. Alright, we are now coming up on our final burn. Of course, the real Apollo mission had communications with grounds but didn't have any automatic controls and autopilot, whereas I kind of do have autopilot, which is going to be my equivalent to having communications on ground, because I don't actually have that and I don't have anyone smart to tell me exactly where to burn, and I'm not smart enough to do it. So my maneuver nodes are technically going to act as that. Alright, we are now 15 seconds away from our burn, and now we are burning. We will have to make up about 5 to 10 meters per second purely in RCS fuel. So we will quickly do that. Alright, we're coming up just on the end of our burn now. And we are there. So now what we can do is remove our maneuver. We can add one more maneuver. Which will then ultimately set us in for a safe landing to Kirtland. But I don't think our maneuver is going to be there. Alright, and we've also lost the bottom part of our moonlander. That once again didn't happen in Apollo 13, but it's gone now and we're going to have to deal with that. This engine should not be on. Alright, despite losing that, we're going to ignore the fact that we lost that, okay? And we are now going to move on forward in time, as we will have one more maneuver to make sure that we do land safely on Earth. But that maneuver is in another 3 hours for us, but it was a lot longer in real life. Whoa, and we lost it by 2 hours. We're 2 hours out from our maneuver. That is not really good. I went way too fast, and now I'm paying the consequences. So we will do everything we can to correct that. Of course, we don't have as powerful of a burner anymore to burn our way back down. Because as it stands, we're coming in for a crash landing, which if this was real life, we would not be surviving at all, even in the slightest. We can slow it down just a little bit, because I'm going to go here. I'm going to see what it takes for us fuel-wise. Alright. We're just going to keep burning, and whilst it's burning, we're going to top up the engines one last time. Well, actually, we're just going to feed the rest of this fuel into that engine. Somehow. There we go. Now there's nothing we can do but hope and pray. I suppose I can also do this. Helps kill that speed just a little bit faster. Fortunately, that is all of our fuel. But of course, the more and more we can do this, the less harsh of a landing it will be. Alright, now we are purely down to our RCS boosters, just like in Apollo. And we are now gonna have to boost our way back down. Until we eventually hit our safe orbit, which is coming up. Okay, it is official. Apollo 13 is due to come home safe. Of course, now tensions would be very, very high inside of the cabin, but also relieved knowing that they're not dead, stranded, orbiting the moon. So what we're going to do is we're going to get ourselves a little bit closer to Earth here. Then it would have been around about here where they transferred over from lunar module over to their cabin again, and then it would be time for them to undock the lunar lander, which would then be left empty, and of course floating back down to Earth. But now of course it is time for Saturn V to land. One thing I did miss is that they did disconnect with the lunar module from the main part, and then disconnect from the lunar module. So that was one small detail that I just missed, and I do apologise about that, but once again, this is only my recreation of it. And it's been difficult. It's been a difficult mission. And here we go. Apollo 13 has officially started to enter Earth's atmosphere. And we are now coming in for a landing. And there goes our lander as it heats up, burning through the atmosphere and exploding. Same will go for our rocket. I do believe that was the rocket, and there's our lander down there. But here we are now, entering back into Earth's atmosphere. We'll be rapidly slowing down. As all this plasma builds up, we will also lose communication through radio. We will now start descending into the atmosphere. We have now officially safely made it back into landing. We're not going to be thrown out of Earth. are now beginning to slow down drastically as we begin to enter the upper atmospheres. As you can see, we're still moving at quite the speed though. And we will be looking to deploy our parachutes soon. Of course, the Saturn V rocket had, I believe, 3 different stages of parachutes, whereas mine only has 1. So that is another unrealistic touch. There it goes. Just now awaiting deployment. It's going to make us deploy our ships manually, by the looks of things. My apologies, chap. And there we go. There is nothing more we can do now except from sit back and watch as Apollo 13 touches back down on Earth. All 3 of our astronauts are still alive. Here we go, chutes are deployed nicely. Coming down at a steady 7 meters per second. Once again, unfortunately not a splashdown, because I am, for some reason, absolutely cursed with not being allowed to splashdown for any of these missions that I do. And here we have it. Apollo 13 is officially coming down for a nice gentle touchdown on the surface. And just like that, we have come all the way from the moon, which is probably somewhere in the sky right now, maybe not, all the way back to Earth. We will now recover our vessel. And I will quickly hop into my space station. Right. I forgot this is currently unmanned, so I can't control it. Oops. Is our ISS sinking? It is sinking ever so slightly. It sinks with every orbit. Okay, so I'm gonna have to do something about that soon. I didn't realize it was actually sinking. Oh no. This was at a perfect 70,000 meter orbit, but now it's not. It's been slowly sinking. Very slowly but surely sinking in all the time I've been doing these missions. Alright, anyways, if you guys did enjoy this video and enjoyed this stream, then be sure to like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this stream and enjoyed this video, then be sure to like and subscribe, and if you want, go check out my video on Artemis 3. It's out right now, and it's pretty epic. Anyways, I'll catch you all in the next one. Oof, and that's another video. That video being Apollo 13. Anyways, it has been great streaming for everybody here, and I appreciate everyone that's shown up and joined the stream. But unfortunately, all good things have to come to an end, including this stream. So, I will say thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next stream. Bye for now, guys.